So on October 29th, as you saw in the preview, it said coming fall. By the way, I got that preview from GameStop.com. Anyway, so is they're gonna re-release the Sega versions, and okay, so the Sega version of Lion King and Aladdin, and the Super Nintendo of Lion King and the Game Boy edition of Aladdin. They're not re-releasing the Super Nintendo of Aladdin. Super Nintendo, yeah, is that right? Of Aladdin. Um, I think because it's a I think because it's a totally different company. The one that did Super Nintendo for Aladdin is Capcom, and it's totally different from the Sega version. And the one that did the Game Boy, it's Game Boy Pocket, I think, edition, and Sega and Super Nintendo edition of the Lion. Oh, sorry. And the company that did Aladdin, Sega, and Aladdin Game Boy Pocket, I think it is, and then the Lion King, Sega, and Super Nintendo were all by Virgin Studios, and then the Super Nintendo of Aladdin was by Capcom. So Disney may release the Super Nintendo later. I think it all just depends on how this does, but I'm so excited. I already pre-ordered my copy from GameStop. I did that 2 months ago. So I got to tell you the story. So back in like July, I just was like, I really want to play those Sega games again because we grew up with the Sega versions, not the Super Nintendo versions. I did. We, as in me. Okay. Anyway, so I asked on Facebook. Well, first I was looking around. We used to have not the Nintendo, sorry, the Sega and all the games, and then a long time ago, my mom gave them away, which, she asked everyone, and we're like, no, we don't play it. And I wish I was like, maybe we should keep it, but whatever. So, sorry, that's my cat. So, I asked on Facebook, if anyone had a Sega, Super Nintendo I could borrow in those games. Because at the time I didn't know the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin was different. I learned that very recently that it was different. Anyway, so I also went hunting to buy a Sega and buy the games, but it was so expensive. Like places that I went to, they were selling up for Lion King Super Nintendo for like 15, and I think Aladdin Super Nintendo was like $25, and they didn't even check to make sure they worked. So I was like, I shouldn't buy those. And then my brother, he called me and was like, didn't you ask on Facebook about the Sega, whoever had Sega or Super Nintendo, whatever? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, GameStop, they had this GameStop convention, and they announced that those games were coming out. And at first, people didn't know if it was true because someone tweeted out their Indy. First, people didn't think it was true. They thought it was false when someone tweeted out, they're re-releasing these games. And then someone else said, yeah, it's true. They showed a picture of the convention. And so that day I asked GameStop, I was like, you guys, can we pre-order it? And they're like, it's not in our computer. And so my brother told me the day that they said that I could pre-order it. And so I went that day and went to GameStop and I pre-ordered it. It's going to be on all the systems, Nintendo Switch, Xbox 360, and PlayStation 4. It is $29.99. It's not just going to be at GameStop. I also saw, if you guys are buying RC Willie, it's going to be there. Best Buy, Walmart, Target, all those. But I wanted to pre-order it just to make sure I got it because Disney probably won't make a ton of copies of it just because they don't know. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of people saying, please re-release this. But it's also going to be on digital as well. So that might also be another reason why Disney may not make a lot of hard copies of it. So if you want a hard copy of it, I recommend pre-ordering it. It comes out October 29th. So when I upload this video, it'll be less than a week. I am so excited. I'll show you guys some of the game. Now, what's going to be different on the game is what you saw in the preview. You're going to be able to rewind it, fast forward it, and there's just going to be a lot of cool stuff that you didn't get in 92. So, and also, I did watch on YouTube, they did a comparison of the Sega Lion King and the Super Nintendo Lion King, and honestly, there's very little, like, if you didn't have them side by side, you can tell a difference, really. Like, the coloring was a little different, as in one was darker than the other, and then the placement of items were different. But, like, the game itself, the levels were the same, everything was the same, so you really could not tell the difference. But like I said before, the Latin Super Nintendo is completely different. So that's why this is not on the platform right now. Hopefully they'll re-release that because I never got to play that Aladdin. And I would like to. It looks really cool. I saw it on YouTube. Like I said, it's by Capgun. And you may be wondering why I'm not getting digitally. And the reason is I ordered... So I have 2 games digitally. I have the Disney Afternoon games, which have Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, DuckTales 1 and 2, Tailspin, and Darkwing Duck games on it, the old Nintendo games. And that downloaded just fine. But then I downloaded the Star Wars Lego game, The Force Awakens, and I don't know what happened, if it just loaded wrong or whatever reason. But like if we would play it for so long, it would just freeze, or if we would have to replay a level, it would freeze and we'd have to start all over again. So it was, so I'm a little like, I don't want to spend $30 for a game going digital and not work. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm getting the hard copy. And I'm just so excited. It's kind of funny that that happened, that the same year, it's like a month before, they announced that I really wanted to play it. So it's pretty cool. I hope they re-release a lot of more Disney ones. I know the Sega Genesis, the mini replica that came out, like they have the Nintendo ones, Sega one came out. There is the Mickey Mouse castle one on there, the old one. And I really want that game, but I'm not going to spend $80 just for one game. So I'm hoping Disney's just going to re-release that one, as well as like the Jungle Book game. There's Pocahontas, and there's Pinocchio. I never played the Pinocchio game. The Pocahontas one, all I liked to do was jump off the rock into the water and swim and then do it again. I don't know why I like to do that, but I did. So I think they'll probably see how this one sells and then probably re-release others if this one sells well. But the reason why they're doing Lion King first is because, of course, it was their top Sega games. And I did, there was a comment on something that I was looking at. It was about the Sega games, how they liked it that Disney released games with the movie. Like, they released Aladdin, Sega, and Super Nintendo in 92 when the movie came out. And I was thinking, yeah, I like that too. I hope they do that because I really enjoyed those games. I thought those games were so fun. Hopefully they'll start doing that again. Probably not. But if there's a lot of people wanting it, I'm sure they would do it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.